to tool delete, because I know then it brings up this thing that's a selection filter. So I just pulled up that. You can also do like line edit, and it'll say which line do I want to find. You can click a line.
By the way, when you guys exit, don't save the part unless you're saving it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because we want to make sure that the part is the way it is right now for every student.
Or maybe the easiest way would just be to download the part, save it into your own folder, and then just go ahead and do that one. There are other ways to rotate and stuff using these buttons up here, and we'll go over that in the tutorial. These buttons are also useful. I use these a lot because this will put it at different angles according to the coordinate system, or this is just an easy way to snap. If you're zoomed in real far in something, you can just do that and it'll snap back out. That's the button I use a lot. And the other stuff, it should teach you that in the tutorial. So zoom. Okay, so down here, and I'm not doing the lab strictly as it goes. I'm just kind of going through the basic stuff that it tells you. So some of these, another cool thing well, maybe not so cool, but so like Josh said, HyperWorks is not really user-friendly because it was made a long time ago and they haven't really changed the way it looks over time. So the nice thing about HyperWorks is if you know how to use it, if you learn how to use it, every time a new version comes out, you'll still know how to use it because it's virtually the same. So
yeah, they don't update the UI. So
yeah.
They'll add more stuff, but they never update it. So it has the same code as it did when they started HyperMesh 1.
Right. So the cool thing is, well, they're not cool, but there are often multiple ways to do one thing. You can do most everything through the panels, and they also have some of these shortcut buttons from the panels that do the same thing, or you could even go up here and often do the same things as are down here. So, again about that. Oh yeah, so there's only a few of these buttons that I'm real familiar with. This one here, these two buttons here manipulate what the elements look like. So if I want to just make just like a wireframe, or this one looks a little bit different. With solid elements, it looks a little bit different. These are just 2D elements, and then this will it'll fill them, and then just do the outline, and then also nothing, just like that. So those are some ways you can manipulate the way it looks. And I believe this is transparency as well. You can change a little bit, which usually works for solid elements. One thing, let's see. So you can also, over here, now we can see the model window a little bit better. The model tab, if you're ever in something else weird, just go back to the model tab, because that's the one you're going to be most of the time. So, okay, so in the model tab, you have your assembly hierarchy, and then you have components. Components will just list all of the components, and the assembly will have the same components, but it'll list them, it'll organize them into any sub-assemblies that you might have. Then you have other collectors like loads, materials, that's where the systems are and stuff. So it'll have everything you have over here. This little surface-looking icon represents the geometry, and the little grid-looking thing represents the elements. So if I wanted to turn off the geometry, you can kind of see some of these geometry turning off. I just click on it to toggle. And if I want to turn off elements, I can do the same thing. If I want to do it all at the same time, I can, up here, I can either select, do just elements, just geometry, or both. So if I want to click both, and okay, so both, and this button here will turn them all on, it will show them all, and this will hide them all. So if I just wanted to show elements, I could bring this to elements and show elements. And this one toggles. So if I have a couple of these turned off, and I click toggle, it'll toggle which ones are off and which ones are on. So it goes over that in here as well. If you want to change the color of a component, you can go to edit, right click, sorry, that was a right click edit, and then it'll have a place here you can change the color right here. You just click on the color and it'll bring up the color or not. Or you can also just right click. So if you right click here, it'll bring up eventually a different color, so I can change it to be, I don't know, white. And now those rigids are white. So let's turn them So that's how you change color. And mask. Okay, so if you want to hide some elements, not the entire component, not the entire collector of elements, but just some, then there's a nice tool called mask. So tool, mask, and now it asks me to select some elements. So if I just want to select these elements right here, then I click on the elements, and let's actually do all the ones that are adjacent. And let's mask them. So now they are hidden, they've been masked. And well, not hiding the rest of them. Now here's another thing with hypermesh is when you do a function, you can undo it, but only immediately after you do that command. So before I go to any changes, before I click at anything over here or hit return, I can reject that last command. But if I were to, let's say, mask these elements, go back, and then go into some other thing and hit reject, because I want to undo the last thing, it's too late. I've already taken a step too far. So once you do something, be careful. It's sure you confirm that it's what you wanted to do, because if you move on, then you can't really go back unless I do something else. So if I want to unmask them all, I'll come to unmask, and I'm going to, not components, but let me just select elements, and then I will select all elements. So it selects all those here, and those which are masked, it still selects them, and I click unmask. If I just want to select the ones that are here, I would click display. So select. So that's masking. You can also, did I talk about find? Yes. So the find, each of these elements have, so I go to return. I'm still in the tools panel here. I go to find. So I can find elements. So let's say elements by collector, and let's do the ones which are center, this light blue. And I click select, and so now it's selected those, and I click find, it has found those elements. So I can even save found, and it'll save them kind of into a clipboard, kind of. And then, for example, if I wanted to, let's say I mask all of these, all, mask, and then I'll come and unmask the elements, let's say retrieve. It has retrieved those 96 elements that I've saved in the find, and then I can unmask those. So find, you can also, if I wanted to see what number element is this one, I should be able just to click numbers, and I think it will, or find. Let's see if that did it. Yeah, so now that showed me that is element number 136, I believe. Can you see that? Yeah, let's do this. There we go. So that's element 136. So I can even, if I wanted to mask that element, for example, or do something to that element, I can say another filter is by ID. And so you just clicked in, you type in 136, hit enter, and now it just selected that element right there. And I can, well, I need to do it on this side. Mask at 136, enter, it selected that element, I click mask, and now that element has been masked. That's especially useful, like sometimes if you're trying to run an analysis or an optimization, the solver might fail because there's a bad element. There's like a sliver element or something like that, and it'll often tell you, or it'll always tell you which element number that is. So then you can go back in your model, you can just search for that element, and then you can find it and fix it. Because sometimes you may have thousands and thousands of elements, and so it's not really easy to find. Mask by, I think that's basically most of the